So just a few things I want to point out, changes that were made in the mid-year presentation that we brought to council 2 weeks ago. So we added an additional, there's a change in the fund balance, a change in the 5-year projection, and a change in our total expenditures. So we originally had $100,000 for pavement and potholes. We increased that to $500,000, so there's additional $400,000 added to that request. There were conversations about trying to get our employee evaluation up to speed. So we added $50,000 to NeoGov to activate a module in NeoGov that allow us to move forward with our employee evaluation process. And we added a position for the youth coordinator. That was another request that came from council. So that position is also in the changes that you're going to review tonight and take a vote on. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rika and she can move forward through the rest of the slides.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm just going to continue with the slides that Mike just introduced. So we are not repeating, or at least I'm not repeating all the slides that was presented last time. And so I'll talk about what was on step 1. And now right now we are on step 2. Everything else has remained absolutely the same. It's only the 3 items that Mike just mentioned that has been added. And as a result, of course, the revenue has remained the same and the expenditure increased by $500,000. So the total expenditure now is 124.56 versus previously it was 124.04. Next slide, please. And so as far as salaries and benefits, that's the 66,000 that was added for the youth position that increased our total salaries and benefit to 101.64, which previously was 0.57. And service and supplies increased marginally, which is also because of the money that we have put for potholes and the small amount of 50,000 that we put for the software. Next slide, please. So this is the 5-year that we presented at step 1. And just to show you how much we have changed, it has not changed a lot, but the 5-year impact will be the bottom line, which is the percentage of our fund balance, which was at 18.63, and at 5-year we were ending at 7.04. And the next slide, please, which is now with step 2, we will be at 18.14 and ending at 5-year at 6.20%. So that's basically just adding, what happens is the services and supplies are one-time cost, so it's only affecting the current year, while any FTE will have a 5-year impact, and that's why at the end of 5 years our numbers are changing from 7% to 6%. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, this is short and sweet because we just had 3 items over here. General fund revenue, as mentioned earlier, increased by 5.4%. The expenditures that have previously were 4.12 million have increased to 4.64 million. And we continue to maintain our healthy fund balance of 22.1 at 17.67%. If we do have time, I think Terrence was going to step in and speak a little bit about the allocation of $500,000 and how he's planning to spend it and about the potholes. So I will leave it if we have time for him to cover that.
We do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reka and Mayor and City Council, Terrence Davis, Interim Assistant City Manager. So the $500,000 that's been allocated for potholes, the staff's plan for that is that Public Works will quickly release a contract to get some additional support to deal with some of the backlog that we have in terms of potholes. So, just to kind of set the stage, one of our bigger challenges is that, given resource constraints, we often have the same staff who will, jump between illegal dumping and streets and our grounds or facilities maintenance. So those staff tend to get stretched. And so bringing in some additional contract support will help us add some horsepower in that particular area. So the goal would be to release a contract, hopefully look for someone in Solano County who can provide that support. And then over the next 2 years, we would have that not to exceed the $500,000 to, again, catch up on that backlog. So that is the staff plan for that, to get that quickly out and hopefully start to make some progress on that backlog.
Well, thank you for that. Welcome to news. Do we have any questions or comments from council members on this item? Yes, Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to address one of the questions raised by a gentleman, I think his name was David, at the community forum. He asked about or had the question on the arts and culture budget, and can you clarify that line item for the Arts and Culture Commission? Or that question that was raised by David.
Sure, Vice Mayor. There has been 100,000 that has been allocated from the ARPA funding, and I believe they're in the process of getting grants out to get that money out and into the hands of people. So that there is budget of 100,000 for arts and culture.
Good. For this fiscal year ending 2022. Okay, good. Yeah, because I know that was we allocated that from the first part, the first part of the ARPA money. So just wanted to clarify that. And yes, there is ARPA money in the amount of $100,000 for arts and culture. So the Arts and Culture Commission, I believe, would need to get the process started to get those funds out distributed to the community. So just again, a clarification to that gentleman, Mr. David, that there is that money there for the Arts and Culture Commission again for this fiscal year. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Mr. Kelly, do you have a comment?
Well, thank you, Mayor, through the mayor. I was just going to comment that Annette Taylor, through Economic Development Division, is the Secretary of the Arts and Commission, and just confirming what Vice Mayor Verliga mentioned, that she'll be bringing this $100,000 to them to work it through their grant program.
Okay, well, that's very welcome news. Do we have any other comments or questions from council members? Yes, Council Member Dew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to staff for taking back our feedback and bringing this forward. The only comment I had, and I did have a conversation with staff previously, but in the staff packet it says youth group coordinator, and I wanted to make sure that it is youth coordinator. Youth group coordinator makes it sound like it is an employee that will be organizing existing youth groups or something along those lines. And I want to make sure that it is not, that the role is clear, that it's going to be an individual that will be moving forward, the city's youth program, work program vision. So just want to make that comment. Thanks.
Thank you. Any response from staff?
Well, yes, that's probably a misprint. The position has a greater role than being a group coordinator. So I envision has many tentacles in the community that we're expecting this position to take on.
Okay, great. Any other comments from council members? If not, what we will do is we will recess so that Naveed can set. Councilmember Ariel, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Dew, you beat me to it, but I wanted to go a little bit step further regarding that position here. I forgive me, I don't remember these three items. I remember the pothole one that we discussed at the last council meeting. So the 66,000, is that a salary? It's a full-time position, correct?
It's a full-time position, and that salary reflects between now and the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, so that's the remaining of the year. And is this coordinator will be engaging with organizations that will come to the coordinator, and the coordinator will then put together programming? What exactly is the job function?
So we're actually working out all the details of what the position is going to do, but what you described is one aspect of it. Definitely engaging in the community with our nonprofits, any organizations out there that we think can benefit the youth in the community, hopefully build a better relationship between the school district and any activities that they may have, engage in opportunities presented to the League of Cities, even at a county level. So when I say many tentacles out there, we may end up having to ask for additional staffing if we're successful launching this position.
Great, thank you for that. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Meisner.
Thank you, Mayor. So I know that the Mare Island emergency repairs was on the consent calendar, and that's an emergency repair. I do think. I mean, I know that it's the overhaul of the Mare Island Bridge is in our near future. Isn't that correct?
Terrence or Gillian?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. So yeah, Councilmember Meisner, there is a major maintenance project planned for the Mare Island Causeway. You're correct. What was just approved was some emergency repair to some of the railings that were damaged by vehicles. So that project is in design and environmental. It is a project that relies on Caltrans and some federal funding. So that project has been pushed out in their funding cycle a little bit longer than we like. But that project is in the next, I would say, 24, 36 months in terms of being delivered, with mostly funding coming from the federal government, Caltrans.
Great, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a follow-up question, Mike, on the youth coordinator. I'm sure it will be similar, not similar, but I know when we hired or created the volunteer coordinator position, Shelley Luff-Miller has really been out in the community doing all kinds of things. And, so my question is, will this youth coordinator, and I know that you're still working on the job description, looking at other models of this position in other cities. I think I'm sure you'd be looking at that. Will this person be, if we do revive or reinstate the Youth Commission, I would like for this person to be, with the council's support, of course, to be the liaison or the staff to the Youth Commission if this council decides to reinstate the Youth Commission. So that's just something that I wanted to put out there, because since I started on the city council, the Youth Commission is something that many of us in this council have asked to be reinstated, but due to staffing issues, we have not been able to do that. So I'm hoping that with the youth coordinator position that we consider reinstating the Youth Commission in the future. So I just wanted to put it out there. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, thank you. And unless we have any further questions, we will recess until 8 p.m. So